It has been a crazy 24 hours. Yo, I'm Vosk, you're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel, and heading over to the farm right now, loading up the farm mobile, and we just got a new node in, okay? Node is basically, in this case, a custom computer that earns crypto in some way, shape, or form. We've also got some new hardware devices for the farm. Oh, and you know, also a new miner.
Perfect.
All right, we've got a lot to unpack, and I mean figuratively. So I know I put my name on my shirt so I don't forget it. But when it comes to VoskCoin, right, we do a couple things. We make videos, right? We work on the VoskCoin YouTube channel, the content creation side. And then we've also been building the VoskCoin Mining Farm, where Bitcoin mining is the backbone, but altcoin mining is a very serious part of our mining farm as well. And right here behind me, okay, is my meter, and the electric company messed up the meter install, or the meter was broken to begin with. But basically what happened is the meter socket was bad, the voltage was literally low. It was causing instability on some of the miners. Thankfully we figured this out, me and my electrician, but the scariest part is this was potentially a fire hazard. All right, and that's terrifying because this meter's on the building, and if you look at the other electrical services we have on the VoskCoin Mining Farm, then you'll know that they're basically standoff services. They just literally stand there on their own, and then we pipe the electricity into the buildings. This is because my electric company will not set the meter bases on these buildings because they're not permanent structures, because they're not on concrete. But this is concrete, so this is on here. And ironically, my attached service was a fire hazard. So let me run you through what's new in here and what I'm doing with the VoskCoin Mining Farm, and why I think, to be frank, in a way, it's like do or die time when it comes to crypto mining. So there's all the Bitcoin ETF craziness, right? And coin prices are, you know, up across the board. And at a glance, you're like, okay, great, awesome, Sunday, bull run time. Been waiting years for this to happen again, right? But what some people don't understand, and excuse the helicopter, by the way, if you guys can hear that. But what, you know, some people aren't thinking about, and this is what I'm kind of focused on and thinking about, is miner prices are not reflecting the current market. And people are even more cautious, especially about when it comes to mining, but especially Bitcoin mining, because the Bitcoin halving is closing in. And that means the amount of Bitcoins mined per day is going to be cut in half. And I personally have been slowing down a bit, along with, just to be frank, dealing with unique challenges here on the farm. So we hopefully are going to be able to basically implement a fix to get the digital shovel working by the end of the week. But we're excited to hopefully get that ironed out. But you know, when it comes to the farm, right, and kind of what we're doing, you know, I'm full steam ahead, even if it's not just simply adding more Bitcoin miners. Right, I got a couple S21s on the way, and that's a good way to, you know, just keep adding to my Bitcoin mining hash rate. Because when Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, you best believe the miners are going to be more expensive than they are right now, even after the Bitcoin halving. I think, personally, right? It's just like most people in crypto believe that Bitcoin's going to go up. Yeah, I believe, you know, Bitcoin's going to go up too. And if I believe that, then miners are going to go up in price. So we're still working on our new deployments. I'm going to get these erected on this concrete pad that we poured, hopefully by the end of this week. But we've got everything wired up for it. So make sure to stay tuned for that, because to be frank, I think that's going to be crazy when we get these all deployed. I've been working hard towards a immersion, liquid cooled mining deployment here, but I was really sped up on this because of the pod going down, and I had miners with nowhere to go, and that's a big reason why I added a lot of electricity to the VoskCoin field building, or VoskCoin HQ, as we've recently rebranded it instead of just the field building. And I used to make fun of places, they call a place like, "Hey, welcome to Orange," and I'm like, well, why'd you name it Orange? Orange is my favorite color. It's like, why'd you name it the field building? It's the building in the field. Like, jeez. That became what I used to make fun of. But yeah, this thing's been running great so far. Interesting feedback I got is somebody was like, hey, like, by putting your Ethernet cables like that, they're gonna just get this gravity pressure on them. That's true. And my initial thought is like, well, I'll put something on there to support them. I just don't think that's really too possible, right? Other than if I just kind of, and I want to redo these wires and make them all the same color and bundle them right here, and that would alleviate some of this, negative downward gravitational force that's taking place. But it's always a process. Everything's all over the place in here. Need to get this. This is the other dry cooler. So you see that massive one outside. That one's pretty big too. And that one is for this immersion container. And then this is for the other immersion container that we're going to deploy, right? And so these big containers, right? Like, no, this one, it nearly takes a 55-gallon drum of immersion mining coolant. So because of all this stuff going on, it's been one of the main reasons why I've added more electricity to the VoskCoin HQ. It's no secret, I love mining, which naturally means that I love, or at least need, mining rigs. That's where ASIC Marketplace comes in. They sell all different types of cryptocurrency mining rigs. They get them to me quickly, which makes the difference with my ROI. And you know what else helps the ROI? If you punch in the code VoskCoin to save some coin the next time you order a miner from them. And so, what did I add and why? If you look in the corner, so I'm running all these wires from the panel over to the corner, and that's going to function as just additional electrical capacity in that building. I'm also throwing meter boxes on there, so that's going to double as a workbench, testing bench for VoskCoin miners in the future, much like I designed the other corner, which we've just for fun dubbed it the Caspa mining corners, because those miners pretty much just got parked there and haven't really moved since. We've been kind of overburdened with miners for a while, and with miners trickling in and then having some issues with mining infrastructure, it's made mining more difficult over the last year. But it was even just simply a year ago that I just plugged in my first Bitcoin miner here on the basically 2.0 VoskCoin Mining Farm. I guess 3.0. 2.0 wasn't really even a 0.0, it was like a 0.5. It was worse than my first farm. But I knew that it was a stopgap. It was my garage. I wasn't supposed to be mining in there as long as I was. But without recapping my whole story, I hit every roadblock it feels like they had available. But yeah, adding more electrical capacity over there in the corner, obviously running that from the panels that we have since repaired the meter base here in the building. And then we added a second panel because I cut I wouldn't say I cut corners, but I made budget cuts. I was really constricted in budget last winter, and I was like, hey, electrician guy, how can I get this bill down? He's like, well, you don't need 400 amps of electricity in here, so let's just put in one 200 amp panel, and then you can add another 200 amp panel in the future if you should so be inclined or needed or whatever. So I just did exactly that. So adding that second panel opens up another 200 amps for me, but I don't have any airflow in that building. That building was not designed and not planned to be a big mining building. I'm really using it as overflow. But right now, I'm pulling about 150 amps of electricity. Actually, it's gonna go up when we plug the miner in that we just brought over here. So over 160 amps of electricity just for mining, okay? And that's overflow. Those are miners that are supposed to be either here in liquid or air-cooled in the pod, but they're not due to numerous reasons, issues, roadblocks, hurdles, whatever. I'm going to continue freeing up mining space by deploying more and more miners into liquid, and these are permanent deployments. You know, on this thing, I've got 400 amps of single-phase electricity. Obviously, I'm wiring all this stuff up on like 240 voltage. I put all these, every other service was built out from the beginning, you know, so 2 panels here, 200 amps on each. And gonna get these all set up, situated. I'm tuning everything for efficiency. And that means that I'm trying to maximize my return against my electricity bill. And you know, we could talk about this one for like 30 minutes, but just briefly, this has been asked to me a few times recently, right? And so if you truly believe in Bitcoin and everything, why wouldn't you crank your miners up maximum speed, right? Overclock them and mine as much Bitcoin as you possibly can right now, because generally speaking, today you will mine more Bitcoin than you will tomorrow, because Bitcoin mining difficulty seems to just increase forever. This year it's more difficult than it was last year. The halving's going to hit, Bitcoin's probably going to pump sooner or later, and Bitcoin will continue to hit new all-time highs in mining difficulty. So theoretically, based on that, you should maximize your Bitcoin miners, or at least have them turned up, you know, a bit more than the most efficient settings. But for me, one thing I really like is, one, density. The more efficient I make my miners, I'm basically mining as much Bitcoin as I can with them per, you know, the lowest power consumption. I have the lowest electrical footprint here. And then I have the highest efficiency, so I can deploy more miners, and they are mining more Bitcoin per the watts of, you know, electricity I'm consuming. This also gives me a much more viable operation. Things get really tight, something bad happens, you know, I'm more in the green than somebody who's operating a less efficient mining operation. It's a more conservative approach by a few metrics. But I'm building my farm, you know, for tomorrow. I'm building it for longevity, and I'm building it with the fact that it's going to be pretty difficult for a lot of the previous generation Bitcoin miners, like the Antminer S19 series, to break even after the Bitcoin halving, depending on the Bitcoin price. So just some things to kind of think about and chew on and keep in mind. There's a lot of different ways to go about this. This is nothing short of basically a strategy game in my mind. I'm just looking at my pieces on the board and trying to make the best moves I think that I can to set my operation up for success long term. It also minimizes my input, because I run out of time on all the projects and things I need to work on every single day. So if I can't get through everything I want to do every day, and then you know, turning these up and I may need to turn them down later, or, you know, whatever, I'm only making everything more difficult for me. I'm setting these up once, I'm fine-tuning them, okay? Let's see the 2 and the tuning. Am I going crazy? Was I trying to make a joke there? Can I even keep up with my own mind anymore? Maybe I'm short-circuited. But anyway, that's kind of the situation. That's kind of where we're at. So bringing it back to the fuel building and the electricity deployment, we're adding circuits over there in the corner. All right, we're adding additional 240 voltage circuits, 30 amps. And then in addition to that, I'm running another line upstairs. So that's going to basically mirror the 30 amp, 240 voltage outlet I have upstairs. It's just going to give me another 30 amps to run Bitcoin miners up there. It's going to give me more versatility with how I finish that room moving forward, and just it's just better to have another 30 amps up there because the lower level is getting very hot depending on the temperature outside, and I could basically easily stuff another couple miners, because 30 amps is essentially 2 miners you know, at normal settings. That gives me the ability to put 2 more miners upstairs here in the cold months. I really appreciate and clearly utilize the overflow. It's not something I always want to be doing or leaning on, but it's been something that I've been forced to do last winter and this winter. So I will plan proactively that I may be doing this again next winter as well. Not the plan, but plan for the worst. And then obviously we've expanded the panel with most of the juice coming out of panel A. Panel B is where we're going to run most of the new outlets out of, because again we are essentially maxing out panel A. So panel B is giving us another 200 amps of electricity to work with here. And part of that 200 amps will be tapped into at a later time for some future building expansions and plans and things like that. But as always, especially, I need to tell myself, dude, one step at a time, or just 2 steps, 3 steps, not as many steps as you've been doing. Okay, so then in the back of the what we call the RV garage, tall garage in here. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting the way we ran the wires up and over. Was more expensive to build everything this way, but it gives us crazy versatility with going vertical if we should ever choose to do so. Because one way that this could be utilized is basically a massive mining wall and or RV storage and things like that. So we've been working all year to try to get this place cleaned up, situated, do some of the finishing steps. Like I have contemplated, how I want to paint it, if at all, insulation, wall covering. Am I going to do anything on the floor like a polyaspartic epoxy? Kind of running through that, looking at the budget, seeing what's realistic, what I have time to add to my plate as far as a project to manage, and what I can literally, feasibly finance. But we've been slowly getting closer on that front with everything. But in the back of it, we're adding several additional circuits. Really a lot of juice right there. We've run 3 more 30 amp 240 voltage circuits. You can see one is already wired, the others are about half wired at this point. They're going to be on meter boxes just for fun. I've got all these things to give me nice real-time readouts, fun for content. It's a bit overkill, to be honest, running the meter boxes and then hooking up these Altair PDUs, which I've really come to like because they have a great form factor. Right, we've got a link in the video description below. Use your boy's code and get these basically ship for like $100. They're cheaper than other options. They work great, and they have a really cool little like LCD screen on them that gives you a data readout. It gives you basically all the data that the meter box does, but it doesn't look as nice. But still, it's incredible to have over nothing. And they've just really nailed like a minor PDU form factor on these in conjunction with OIP. But the point being is, compared to what I had, which is just literally one 30 amp circuit, I am adding 3 more 240 voltage 30 amp circuits. So I've got 120 freaking amps of juice in there. They're all going to be on meter boxes, and then they're all going to have Altair PDUs attached to them, the A1 PDU, whatever. I'll link it out. And then next to it is going to be a 120 volt circuit. I'm just at this point, for symmetry, I'm going to slap a meter box on that thing. And then I'll have ample electricity in there. There's a lot of room to just kind of heat soak that piece of the building because of the tall ceilings. And I also want to develop a system. We're going to have to gather some data. And I'd like to actually put some old miners on there and have them basically turn on when the temperatures start to dip and dip and dip, and get it to a point where those miners always keep that piece of the building, even without insulation and everything, above freezing. And then if I have an RV and it's in there, I would not have to winterize it because it never actually lives. It would essentially be a climate controlled garage. And then in the summer months, well, I would just turn those old inefficient miners off, and it would be fine. Because I've probably got 30 miners that I don't run because they are just so inefficient between how much they burn in electricity versus they earn in the cryptocurrencies they mine, in conjunction with the fact I can't even keep my profitable miners going right now because I'm out of space across the whole mining farm. I don't have, obviously those older inefficient ones aren't going to be plugged in, but I have them, and they hardly even make sense to even try to sell. If anything, it may make sense to offload them in the next bull run. But I don't know. Step 1 is I need the juice in there, and then I'll develop a system, after the fact. Alright, so got the S19K Pro online. That was a previously used miner, so I did just hold the factory reset button for 5 seconds after it was online for at least 2 minutes, and you need to do that within 10 minutes of it being turned on. And that switched it over to DHCP for me, which is how I run my network, at least for now. And after that, I was able to get an IP generated for it, and now I'm able to access that miner. And so I've obviously just copy and pasted my mining pool information and gotten that fired right up to my mining pool address. So now it's time to show you, what does this little micro PC micro monitor thing do? Have in store for us. Oh, you thought this video was crazy. It's getting even crazier. So let's set it up. I am absolutely blown away. The ETC MC, basically plug and play master node, is one of the easiest mining devices to set up and get started with I've ever seen in over 7 years of doing this basically full time. I'm pretty excited to do the full video review on that, but hey, I'll link out the device down in the video description below, as well as our Discord server to connect with the community or get a head start on ordering one sooner than later, before that video comes out. Don't want to get ahead of myself, right? Still need to do some more research on this, but this has been on my to-do list. And wow. In other news, remember that S19K we just plugged in? Well, he's getting brains right now. He's getting some brains. That's what they said I'd get in school, but I never got any there, now did I? But anyway, we've been talking a lot about Braiins recently. This is such a cool device. So this is a little keyboard that it came with. This is the full node package. This is a little monitor that it came with. And this is, you know, like a micro PC, which I absolutely love micro PCs. But this is a really cool deployment of one. It's got the shortest HDMI cable that you've ever seen. Look at that thing. Yeah, you thought this shed was just for hard drive mining. Oh no, my friends. This is for nodes, servers, anything crypto related other than big miners, because we got other spots for those. And it's a fully clean data center-ish like environment with redundancy. Oh yeah, I know, if you're really paying attention, they're different. Did you know that I take my shoes off when I come in there? Need to get a better setup for this. But how you gonna have a clean place if you're wearing your dang shoes everywhere? No shoes in my house, no shoes in my dang hard drive mining shed. All right, that's the deal. So I guess while we're standing here, right, a quick update on the hard drive mining operation. The Juicy miners have been incredibly lucky, just blasting through blocks. My older evergreen miners have just kind of smoothed out. They've been working well. And then one of my recent evergreen kits, it's called the Curse Kit. It's just not working right at all. It's 22 hard drives. It was a weird setup. 3 drives pretty much out of the box, didn't really work. Still having issues, it won't stay online. But they have a newer, higher compressed version that I also have here. That's been doing well overall, but that's total beta, and the performance of it has been impressive. So that's really the crash course on that. I really need Chia to have a good year. Please, Mr. Chia. Chia. Well, never a dull moment on the VoskCoin Mining Farm. It's been, you know, the last year has really been full of just trials and tribulations, right? And I've really approached this as like a trial by fire mentality. I mean, there's been so many changes. Like you see that Starlink satellite. I had Starlink internet a year ago, and now I'm running off hardwired internet, but it's great to still keep that deployment here to have a backup internet option. We've gone from air cooling our really having no cooling on our miners, then having air cooling on our miners, then changed the plans for the gray mining shed to just become a full-blown immersion liquid cooled mining shed. And then we have, you know, my little DIY mini data center out here, the hard drive mining shed. But you know, it's going to be so much more than that. I'm having so much fun with this project in particular, and I think that the vision with this is harder to see. Maybe I don't talk about enough of like what I plan to do with this, but I mean, this doubles as a field office until we get the HQ, you know, into a better situation. Obviously, hard drives were the initial focus here, but beyond that, nodes, running computers in there, maybe some render work and advanced GPU type stuff. And I'm not talking about, oh, just another GPU mining rig. No, like some very entrenching computing. And you may say, Vosk, define entrenching computing. I will. If you subscribe and you watch the next video, I'll describe it there. But plot twist, I'll probably forget. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this update. You're on the VoskCoin YouTube channel where we keep it real. What you want to see next, let me know. If there's anything I went over that wasn't clear, tell me. I'd love to, know. And seriously, as always, I appreciate you guys that take the time to tune in. Keep this crazy crypto journey alive. And on that note, I'm gonna drive off into the sunset. Here it comes. Probably freaking crash into a dry cooler and just have a nuclear meltdown. But see ya!